Apamada's programs and facilities are supported through your generosity. Your support really does make a huge difference. You'll find a link for contributions on the website at apamada.org/contribute. Thank you so much.
Okay, this writing activity this evening is on the topic of belonging. So it's closely associated with trust, right? But we can trust, but still not feel we belong. So I trust my doctor's medical group, and all the doctors in it, but I don't feel like I belong to them. And so this is about what it feels like, what the experience is like of belonging, which is a little bit different. You might trust an environment, but not necessarily feel you belong. But you're not going to feel you belong unless you trust. Is that right? Okay. So, there you go. So they should be in your chat, the questions, right? Okay, good. All right, so you'll see that there are 4 questions. I'll go over them with you. So you're first going to take a few moments to become mindful. We're going to have a half an hour for all of this writing. So there should be plenty of time. You can relax. Just take a few moments to become mindful, then recall a situation where you felt a true sense of belonging. You felt like I belong here. Briefly describe the situation and then how you felt. What gave you that felt sense? Did you feel it in your body? Did you feel it in your heart? Did you have a thought of that? Was it all 3? Where did you experience that sense of belonging? And then, again, being mindful, recall a situation where you distinctly felt like you didn't belong, like I felt when I first started graduate school. Describe the situation briefly, and then what did that experience feel like? What were the cues in the situation itself that signaled to you that you belonged or didn't belong? So it might be to a place, it might be to a group of people, it might be a particular situation. And then third is, have you ever been in a situation where you were not sure, at least at first, whether you belonged or not, and something happened that convinced you one way or the other? What happened? So you're in a new place and somebody smiles at you, or you're sort of confused and somebody directs you where to go, or something happens and you either feel like you belong or you recognize I really don't belong. And then fourth, have you ever reached out to help someone feel they belong? Have you ever held back from reaching out in that way? So you saw someone who's a little confused and you thought, well, maybe someone will help them, Or you say, well, it's only my second day here, so I don't know anything, so I can't really help them, we're just describing these little moments where we had this felt sense of belonging, or we had a felt sense that where we didn't belong. And the reason this is important to us as a community is because we want to have people who come here to have what experience? Belonging. Right, but to do that we have to tune in to what does that feel like, what are the cues that give us that felt sense, or that somehow fail to give it to us, right? Or that somehow we get a different signal. Okay, so is that clear? Do you have any questions about this? And you can write as much or as little as you like about any of them.
So what are we gonna do after we write?
Good question. As you might imagine, we're going to get into small groups and talk a little bit about what that experience was like. You don't have to read what you wrote, but you can talk about what it felt like to be talking about it, to be thinking about it even, or what that process was like for you. So it's not, so don't write about something that's going to be humiliating or embarrassing for you, in a way that you don't want to share. But if you do, you don't have to share it. So you only have to share what you want to share. And then we'll come back together and have a little bit of a general reporting out of that. And I will tell you, my favorite thing to do in reporting out is, what did you hear that interested you? Yeah, what did your partner or partners say that somehow caught your attention or made you curious, or that touched you in some way. So this makes it also listening practice. All right, so we'll have, let's see, what time is it now? 7:08. We'll have until 7, what? Do the math. 30 minutes.
38.
30, good job. Good job. This is why we're entrusting him. Math skills. Okay, so, and you can do this, you know, wherever you want. If you want to move around, if you wouldn't want to be in the back room with the table, fine, you know, but just keep track of the time and come back, and we'll put people then into groups of, I think, 3. Because I suspect we're 12 people. Okay?
I was really taken with something Susan said that, is it all right? Okay, that how singing in her church meant so much to her, touched her so much, but it especially, even though she went for 35 years to the church, it was after coming here that she really noticed how much it touched her. So that was interesting.
Yeah.
One of the things that we all noticed in our group as we were all finishing was how much difference one person in a community can make in either making you feel like you belong or making you feel like you don't, or you don't.
Yes.
It doesn't take a whole community.
What we've realized is if people will form a connection with one person, they'll come back. Yeah. This doesn't have to be a crowd.
Yeah. About a time when she belonged, she mentioned the feeling of warmth, that it was a small group experience, and well, the first thing she said is it was a little social gathering. It was kind of the end of the meeting or whatever, and nobody wanted to leave. And then warmth, and that everybody, you could tell that everybody felt the same. That sounded kind of special. And there was a lot of pain in my group because the other two folks had felt a lot of outsiderness for a lot of their lives and for different reasons. And so that it was very intense for that. I just wanted to share that.
In my group, there was a couple of very beautiful descriptions. One of a group organized by a church that went to Guatemala, where there was a sense of being welcomed by the community that they were serving, and a very strong sense of shared mission, shared values behind everything that they were doing. And then also being welcomed in a situation where, you know, 2 parents and a young child had stumbled in out of the darkness and were immediately asked to join a small group and made welcome where that happened. And just the sense of personal connection into a new situation, connected with the recognition of shared values. And for me, I said that the real question, which I wrote almost nothing about, the real key question was, what's it like to welcome somebody into a group? You know, it's like, oh yeah, I had some professional experience with that as a fundraiser, and realizing that the job was to connect people with their value, you know, show that their values aligned with what they could do with the group, the organization. And then, of course, participating in orientation here, where Ellen said the key phrase, which I repeated many times, people should leave orientation knowing that everyone here is on their side.
It's great.
I missed the last word, Joel. Everyone here is
Everyone leaving orientation should know that everyone at Appamada is on their side.
On their side, thank you.
I love the exercise. I really loved it.
Well, it's something I'm curious about myself, you know.
Mhm.
I'm always curious about what gives someone a sense of belonging. And then makes them really want to come back, really want to be here. And that's important to me, that we create that kind of experience for people. And I think partly because in a lot of the Zen centers I visited, people like in the community will say, well, you know, I would go, but it feels kind of unwelcoming, you know, or I feel feels kind of severe, or feels kind of formal, and I don't feel like I belong there. And that really struck me in all my travels around, you know, that is not the experience you want people to have.
Thank you. This was a lovely exercise, and I wanted to share a couple of things. One is something that showed me how very, very simple it can be to make someone feel welcome. And that is when I went to my first Takomi session, Jessica was bringing us all into it. And I was having this entire whole body physiological reset. And I was like, what is this? Like, why is this happening? And I really couldn't figure it out. And then I realized she was talking so slowly. It felt like the first time in my life that I wouldn't have to rush to get everything out because that person might not have that much time for me. You know, just something as simple as her pace. And I also noticed that I think the thing that I'm most curious about in terms of what I wrote is that I noticed that I have created a sense of belonging for myself by deciding to be there for someone else, choosing to hold space for someone else, to be helpful, to nourish them, and to be to let love flow through me. It's really my favorite way to feel like I belong.
And you point to something so important that I want to highlight it again, repeat it, that the way to feel like you belong is to help someone else feel like they belong. And this is why even someone who's practically brand new, you know, can say, well, I don't know where the bathroom is either, but let's find it together, you know, like there's a way in which that spirit of helping someone else feel like they belong helps you feel like you belong. That's so true. That's such a good point, Janelle. Well, we're probably past our time, right?
Yeah.
The timekeeper's nodding her head at me.